The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise. Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning here at 5 a.m. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher.
We begin this morning with our 17 homicide tracker, and one person is dead following a shooting last night in Wasco. Sheriff's deputies were called to the area of D and 5th Streets around 9:30 last night for reports of shots fired. Deputies arrived and found a man had been shot multiple times. KCSO says it is not clear what led up to the shooting. By our count, this is the 11th homicide so far this year in Kern County.
And the coroner's office has identified a man who was shot and killed by police Saturday night in South Bakersfield. Bakersfield police officers were called to the area of Dayton Avenue and Elmhurst Street just before 10:30 p.m. When they arrived, they say a confrontation took place, leading to the officers opening fire. Law enforcement says 41-year-old Alejandro Rosales was shot in the standoff and later died at Kern Medical. It's unclear what led up to the shooting. By our count, this is the 4th officer-involved shooting this year in Kern County. We'll update the story as we learn more. And a man has been identified after trying to take a hostage before an officer-involved shooting last week in Oildale. Sheriff's deputies were called to Pierce Road near State Road for reports of a man allegedly smashing car windows and assaulting someone with a deadly weapon on February 9th. When first responders arrived, they say 25-year-old Devin Curl Moore was trying to take a person hostage with a weapon when deputies shot and killed him. Deputies say no one else was hurt.
Police say a Visalia man is dead after a crash in southwest Bakersfield early yesterday morning. Officers were called to White Lane near Acres Road at around 3:30 in the morning for a report of a person hit by a car. Officers found 42-year-old James Lee Richardson in the road. The driver stayed at the scene and cooperated with first responders. Police say speeding and alcohol do not appear to be factors in this crash. Investigators say Richardson was not using a crosswalk when he was hit.
And now to developing news from over the weekend. The mayor of California City tells 17 News the city's police chief has resigned. City officials say John Walker was sworn in as chief in January of 2020. No word yet on why he resigned, but Mayor Jeannie O'Laughlin says it was voluntary. Walker will stay with the department until March 31st. The city manager will decide a replacement. This comes 14 months after Orrin and Orson West were reported missing from their adoptive parents' home in California City, and they still have not been found. If you have any information about where the Cal City boys could be, you're encouraged to call the Kern Secret Witness line at 322-4040. An investigation's underway after a man was found dead in a car Saturday morning in central Bakersfield. Officers were called to 8th Street between V and Union Avenue just after 9:30 for reports of a suspicious vehicle parked in front of a home. Officers arrived and found the body of 33-year-old Gerardo Zimmerman of Bakersfield, and they say his body had obvious trauma. No word yet on how he died.
In your 17 Court Watch this morning, a trial date has been set for a local man charged in what's become known as the Bakersfield 3 murder case. At a hearing on Friday, court officials confirmed Matthew Queen's trial will begin next Monday. Queen and ex-girlfriend Bailey Despot allegedly tortured and killed Michael Holzenbake in 2018. Holzenbake's severed arm was found months later in the Kern River, and his skull was recovered last year east of the overflow parking lot of Piles Boys Camp. Prosecutors also brought torture and murder charges against Bailey Despot, but she has been missing since 2018.
5:05 your time, and now to the latest on the coronavirus pandemic. Doctors and researchers are closely watching a subvariant of the Omicron strain of COVID. New studies show that BA2 may be more contagious and severe than the original Omicron variant. UC Berkeley infectious disease specialist Dr. John Swartzberg says it accounts for only 4% of cases in the U.S. right now, but the number's growing, and he believes local leaders may have moved too fast in relaxing a lot of COVID precautions like masking. Here at home, data from Kern Public Health shows hundreds of people still catching the virus every day. This is a look back at the past week of the pandemic in Kern. Public Health learned the virus stole 43 more lives. An average of 179 people were hospitalized with the virus, and an average of 39 people were fighting for their lives in local ICUs.
5:06 is our time now, and a local school board has voted to censure one of its own. By a 3-to-1 vote, Fairfax Board trustees last week voted to censure current member and former board president Palmer Moland. Moland has been in the news on multiple occasions due to accusations of abusive and bullying conduct toward classified employees in the district, in addition to other behavior in violation of the board's bylaws. The board says an investigation found those accusations to be true. And in addition, Moland's credibility was taken into question, with investigators finding evidence he had been untruthful in many of his communications. There is no formal punishment for a censure. It's essentially a public statement expressing the board's extreme disapproval of Moland's behavior as a district trustee.
5:07 now from our follow-up file. Some sad news to report. Effie Stewart, affectionately known as Grandma Effie, recently died.
Ain't you glad that the Lord has kept you?
Now, you may remember we did a story on Effie Stewart when the pandemic first hit Kern County, shutting down everything from restaurants to churches. Grandma Effie, who suffered from dementia, still got dressed for church every day, even though she could not attend. Instead, she would go out into her backyard and sing gospel songs. Effie's daughter says Effie Stewart was a pillar in her local church for decades. Grandma Effie was 86 years old. I remember that story again when everything was first shutting down 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That story aired, and it was one of those things that kind of gave us all a little bit of hope during a really dark time.
Yeah, she has such a beautiful voice.
5:32 is our time now, and this morning the world is watching, waiting, and bracing for Russian President Vladimir Putin's next move. NBC News has learned that U.S. intelligence shows Russian military officials have been given the green light to invade Ukraine.
Bree Jackson's in Washington with the latest.
Good morning, Alex, Maddie. The White House says President Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin have agreed to a summit in principle and only on the condition that Russia does not invade Ukraine. Citing credible intelligence, U.S. officials say Russia's military has already been given orders to invade Ukraine.
As the president has said, we believe that Putin has made his decision. Period.
This comes amid increased tensions in the region, with more than 1,500 explosions over the weekend. The U.S. alleges Russians are trying to create a pretext for war, claims Russia denies.
There is no innovation, and there is no such plans.
Ukrainian officials are calling for an immediate ceasefire.
We have already 2 people dead, 11 people wounded, and it keeps going as we speak.
The U.S. is threatening sanctions if an attack occurs, including disrupting Russia's economy and flow of oil.
The president has all the power he needs to do it.
While also warning Americans could face consequences, ranging from higher gas prices to cyber attacks.
It's certainly part of their playbook, and we've been engaged for many months now, first of all, in helping Ukraine itself bolster its cyber defenses.
The administration is leaving the door to diplomacy open.
I will leave no stone unturned to do that.
Secretary of State Blinken plans to meet with his Russian counterpart Thursday. Both meetings with Russia largely depend on Russia's actions in the coming days. President Biden will hold a virtual meeting with G7 leaders to discuss the Ukraine crisis on Thursday. In Washington, I'm Bree Jackson for 17 News.
In your 17 Core Watch this morning, the suspect in the crash that killed Bianca Flores, Iqbal Singh, was in court on Friday for an arraignment. Seated in a wheelchair with his right leg heavily bandaged, the 35-year-old pleaded not guilty to the charges against him. Bail was set at $650,000. Singh is due back in court March 23rd. Again, a $10,000 reward is being offered for information leading to the motorcyclist involved in the alleged street race. Anyone with information should call Kern Secret Witness at 322-4040.
The family of a teen killed in a hit-and-run crash is inviting the community to a funeral service tomorrow. 16-year-old Angel Baruman was struck by a car as he rode a skateboard on Niles Street near Brentwood Drive back on January 25th. Baruman was taken to Kern Medical, then airlifted to Valley Children's Hospital in Madera, where he later died. Tomorrow's service will be held at 10 a.m. at Basham Funeral Care on Niles Street. Attendees are asked to wear lavender, Angel's favorite color.
Today marks 9 months since 12-year-old Amaya Alexander was shot and killed in front of a family member's home in central Bakersfield. And this morning, no one has been arrested. Family members say Alexander was walking outside to get some fresh air when she was killed. The shooting happened at a home on L and 11th Streets on May 21st. Current secret witness is offering a reward of up to $5,000 for information that could lead to the arrest of the killer. If you know anything about this shooting, you're asked to call current secret witness at 322-4040.
5:35 is your time now, and making headlines around the state. New video shows the moment a police helicopter crashed near Newport Beach. Take a look. You can hear the Huntington Beach Police Department helicopter moments before it comes into frame at the top left of your screen. And then crashing into the water of Newport Beach Saturday night. There it goes. Officer Nicholas Vela, a 14-year-old veteran of the department, was killed. Another officer was hurt, and he's now out of the hospital. The National Transportation Safety Board will investigate the crash. In Florida, another helicopter crash, this time just feet from horrified swimmers. It happened Saturday afternoon off the coast of Miami Beach. 3 people were on board. Officials say the pilot is said to be in stable condition and is doing okay. A spokesperson for the police department said if the crash happened 50 yards closer to land, quote, we would have had a mass casualty event on our hands. The FAA said it's not yet clear what caused the chopper to crash.
Back here at home, the city of Tehachapi paid nearly $19,000 in the search for a new police chief before the current chief decided to cancel his retirement. That is according to Tehachapi city officials. The city paid that money to Bob Murray and Associates to do a national search to replace Chief Kent Kroger after Kroger announced his retirement in December. But now Kroger says he is staying. He says he made the decision after speaking to friends, colleagues, and family about his plans for retirement, meaning Tehachapi essentially paid money for a search that did not need to happen. 5:37 is our time now, and with COVID restrictions relaxing across the country, local festivities are beginning to return. And that includes Kernville's Whiskey Flat Days.
17's Marco Torres takes us there.
It's the 65th annual Whiskey Flat Days in Kernville, a small town just 50 miles east of Bakersfield near Lake Isabella. Hundreds of people flooded the streets of Kernville in search of food, fun, and amusement. It wasn't too hard to find that here.
Previous years, it's been cold. Usually February, it's pretty cold out here. But the turnout's going to be really good today because of the weather. So we're expecting a lot of people to come up here to Kernville and enjoy Whiskey Flats.
The day had a perfect temperature. Families bustled around the town with their kids and pets. Now the food was a major attraction for a lot of people.
We've tried jumbo hot dogs, hamburger, the kettle corn, snow cone, strawberry lemonade.
The festival animals, old-fashioned Western clothes, and live Western music added to the thrill and fun of the festival. And some festival goers with their own message for people at home.
Get up off their chairs and come out here and enjoy themselves and just enjoy the scenery.
That was Marco Torres reporting. Whiskey Flat Days runs through the end of today, and you can find more information on Kernville's website. Go to kernville.com. So yeah, luckily the weather's not going to be too bad. It'll be pretty nice to be up there.
Absolutely.
For the last day of Whiskey Flat Days.
Before things change.
Yep.
Well, just weeks after performing for the Super Bowl halftime show, Snoop Dogg is coming to Bakersfield. The hip-hop legend is set to perform at the Mechanics Bank Arena Saturday, May 21st. Promoters say the concert's part of the Back on Death Row tour after the release of Snoop Dogg's 20th studio album. Other artists slated for the concert include Warren G, the East Siders, RBX, and the Lady of Rage. Tickets go on sale this Friday at AXS.com.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to KGET.com.